UFC Fight Night Abu Dhabi just wrapped up, and it's time for me to give my breakdown of the entire card. Let's just get right into the main event, okay? Timestamps are in the description. Let's talk about this main event. Cory Sandhagen put on an absolute masterclass with the takedown defense. And outside of that, got absolutely speed mogged by Umar Nurmagomedov. Cory Sandhagen, if you were to tell me that Cory Sandhagen's going to go out there in the first round, he's going to effortlessly stuff the takedowns. He's going to get taken down but get right back up to his feet. And Umar's going to start looking panicked, and he's going to have that like green look on the feet where he's still very new to the game. And he's in front of Sandhagen that just shut down the early exchanges in the grappling. I would say, wow, I guess Cory Sandhagen wins that one, right? Instead, Umar Nurmagomedov, 49-46 is Cory Sandhagen, despite the fact that the wrestling, his bread and butter, I know people think of him as he's a striker really, but he's mostly wrestled in his UFC fights for the most part. I know he started as a striker. This dude got shut down in the grappling. I picked Cory Sandhagen. I said, I believe in this dude's ability to train the specifics, like Volk. The specifics training. Cory, you know, he's got the beakers and the test tubes. He's got the beakers and the test tubes and the lab coats in the gym. I believe that Sandhagen's going to be able to do it. Because, you know, Cory Sandhagen, you listen to an interview of Sandhagen, and he'll have you thinking that this guy can literally jump and fucking land on the moon. You know, he'll have you wanting to run up a mountain because of how much he believes in himself. You know, Sandhagen's always talking about, I got to hit this next level and show people that there's a new Matrix level striker in here. But Sandhagen just got beat up. Like, simple. And this is the thing. Sandhagen's grappling was good. The specifics training worked. Cory Sandhagen, the striker, got shut down easily on the feet. He was too slow for Umar Nurmagomedov. And as a Sandhagen fan, it's a tough pill to swallow because it's not that he just got outstruck by Umar Nurmagomedov. It's that Umar outstruck him with like a very basic striking approach. You know, Umar wasn't out here, you know, they weren't just going adjustment for adjustment and they were in the deep waters. And Umar found the body shot and he started to see, oh, maybe I got to start going to the body. It was just classic, you know, combinations you'd see at the local Muay Thai gym when they're hitting pads, right? Just classic combinations from Umar. Whenever Sandhagen would try to throw a punch, Umar would counter him with a 1-2-3, right? Sandhagen did well in the first round, and it looked like, wow, man, he's stuffing the takedowns. He's about to take over this fight. Umar just effortlessly, too fast for him, jabbing him up, starts winning the second round. I'm telling my chat, you know what? Like, Umar's winning this round, and he's not even grappling, and he's still winning this round. Sandhagen kind of fought like a bit of a nerd. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be 100% honest. Umar did that to him. And I said this before in the past. Now, again, I'm a big Sandhagen fan. I wanted him to win this fight. I think that the threat of the takedown mixed in with the speed advantage that Umar Nurmagomedov had, Sandhagen would get beat to the punch. He would get punished whenever he would throw. Sandhagen had to worry about the threat of the takedown. Credit to Umar Nurmagomedov. He also had a crazy gas tank where he could keep it up. But, you know, we talk about Sandhagen as being this crafty guy that can make adjustments. And, man, if Sandhagen's having a hard time, man, he'll be able to pull it out in the third, fourth, and fifth. He'll be able to find the adjustments. And it's like, no, just good old classic pad combinations from Umar Nurmagomedov. Like, just spamming good old combinations like classic leg kicks, front kicks, and he's a good striker. And he's just too fast for Cory. Way too fast for him. It is insane that Umar Nurmagomedov could not even dominate the grappling and still effortlessly beat Sandhagen. That is crazy that this dude could just take a big jump up like that, because one of the things that I said is that we rarely see people take a jump up like this and have a clean performance. They either get in a war or they lose. It's very rare that they win, let alone have a clean performance. Umar Nurmagomedov just had a clean striking performance against Sandhagen, which made him look slow. Now, I was debating with my chat on whether or not Sandhagen looked slower than he has in the past. Now, we're not saying, he's old. Like, Sandhagen's in his prime. He's in his prime, but coming off of the tricep injury, the tricep tear, maybe his punches looked a little bit less snappy, but at the end of the day, what the fuck was Sandhagen even doing? When I say Sandhagen gets caught up with the beakers and test tubes, and this ain't, you're not going in for a test at the freaking science classroom. Like, he's got the lab coat on, but sometimes you're just in a good old classic fight. And Umar Nurmagomedov is just faster than you, and he's just freaking popping you in the face. And I just think Sandhagen's feints, I think Sandhagen's stance switches, it's all well and dandy. Those feints, those stance switches are all great. The outside foot battle's great. But when you're getting outstruck by a basic set of techniques from Umar Nurmagomedov, and he's clearly the faster guy, and he's also got the threat of the takedown, you would expect a vet like Sandhagen, who, he can hype you up. You could run up a hill after listening to a Sandhagen interview. You would expect him to grit down on the mouthpiece and give us a bit of the Cory Sandhagen energy that he had going into the TJ fight, where he was saying, TJ beat me, but I burnt his village down, and it's still burning because I injured him and I hurt him in a fight. Sandhagen was saying he was going to go in there and hurt Umar Nurmagomedov in this fight. He's trying to hurt people. Umar Nurmagomedov just outstruck him effortlessly, outpointed him, outputted him, and Sandhagen just wasn't throwing output. Now, again, a part of it was because every time he would, Umar would beat him to the punch. Every time he would, Umar would throw a three-piece and push him back. Right? Sandhagen's usually the guy that is disrupting people's rhythm with his striking because he's switching stances, and he has a good split between strikes to the legs, midsection, and head. It was Umar that was disrupting the rhythm of Sandhagen. And outside of good solid leg kicks, we saw flimsy jabs, flimsy front kicks, and just not a lot of aggression until the 5th round. That was the one part of the fight where I saw Sandhagen bite down a little bit on the mouthpiece and start really throwing leather, and he still lost that round. And Umar didn't gas out. His gas tank was great, but again, Sandhagen not once in this fight pushed the pace. It was Umar Nurmagomedov that was pushing the pace. And for this guy, he's only 28 years old. To beat a guy like Cory Sandhagen at only 28, and not just to beat him, but to face adversity in the first round where he's getting his takedown stuffed, and his first takedown, it doesn't work out so well, and you could imagine that would be a panicking moment, and he even said he was worried after that. For him to go out there and outstrike Sandhagen, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th round against a guy that's had that much 5-round experience, that is crazy. So we learned that Umar Nurmagomedov is truly about as elite as it gets in this division, right? If you can beat Cory Sandhagen that easily on the feet, and it's not even like it was a gritty war. No, he made it look pretty clean. Again, Sandhagen switching stances, flimsy jabs, not really committing to his strikes, just switching stances and winning the outside foot battle. Fought a bit nerd-like, but at the same time, I think a big part of why Sandhagen wasn't trying to push the pace is because he was getting beat to the punch. And it's a lot easier said than done to grit down on the mouthpiece and fucking push the pace and be willing to risk going out on your shield trying to get a finish. Because I was unbelievably pissed. Not that pissed, but I was pissed off in the 5th round, going into the 5th. I kid you not. Sandhagen's down 3 rounds to 1. 3 rounds to 1. I go from being hyped, yelling, Sandhagen wins the first. Holy shit, it was a close first round. Moral victory for Sandhagen. He stuffed the takedowns. He's going to win this fight. To my energy taking a big dip when Umar Nurmagomedov effortlessly just starts outstriking Sandhagen. And again, it's not even like Umar showed us some unbelievable level of striking that we've never seen. It's just he's really fast. He's very fast. And it was kind of easy to doubt his ability to outstrike Sandhagen. I knew he was a good striker, but it was easy to doubt his ability to outstrike him, especially like this, because he got dropped by Beksat. He's still green. He still hasn't fought great strikers in the UFC. He hasn't been tested at all. But it wasn't even that we saw something that we've never seen before from him. It was just basic combinations, just 1-2s. Cory Sandhagen usually says, I'm hard to hit. I have the range advantage. We usually think of him as someone that's so good with his footwork that it's hard to pin him down. And Umar just effortlessly hitting him every time he threw. Not everything was landing clean. It wasn't like he was hurting Sandhagen, but just picking away, landing good shots, significant strikes way more often than Sandhagen, and just easily outputting him. But I was pissed after the 4th round because Sandhagen was down, and I kid you not, there's no urgency in his corner. I think one of his coaches literally said, maybe some heel hooks, maybe go for some heel hooks. It's time to mix it up. And then he says, let's go for some heel hooks. We talk about how guillotines don't even hit that often in MMA, let alone heel hooks, leg locks, and that's the advice to Cory Sandhagen. Go for some heel hooks. If you get taken down, The submissions that literally never fucking work at the highest level of MMA, that we never see get hit a heel hook on Umar Nurmagomedov. And, you know, Trevor Whitman's also out there, and he's like, good, breathe. You know, I used to talk about David Goggins and how people gave Tony too much crap for having Goggins in his corner. And I said, listen, as long as you have a couple guys in your corner in a fight that know what they're doing, you can have a third corner, man, that's just there to sort of hype you up. That's there to, you know, give you a slap to say, hey, man, let's go out there and get it. We're down. You've got Trevor Whitman and Cory Sandhagen's other coaches with no urgency. They're saying, good, breathe. When the outside. I don't even remember the only thing I remember is them saying, go for a fucking heel hook. Okay? Other than that, it was like, mix it up, Cory. Mix it up, man. Come on, man. We've got to move forward and mix it up. Like, at that point, it should be time to sound the alarm. It should be, hey, flying knees, spinning elbows. Maybe not spinning elbows. You don't want to give up your back, but like, bro, big uppercuts, big overhands, bite down on the mouthpiece and knock this motherfucker out. No urgency. Sandhagen's out here freaking switching his stances, you know, calculating if he's winning the outside foot battle. Like, it's just a sad day because I'm a big Sandhagen fan. And I wanted Cory Sandhagen at some point in his career to get to the title. And someone said, is he the Dustin Poirier of the lightweight division? I said, dude, Dustin Poirier, he's winning the interim belt when he's given the chance. Sandhagen loses to Jan. Poirier, he's fought for the undisputed belt 3 times. And he's won the number 1 contenders fights. Sandhagen can't get past the number 1 contenders fights. Sandhagen, in his prime, coming off of a long layoff, torn tricep, maybe a tiny bit slower than we're used to seeing him. But either way, he's in his prime. Losing like this to Umar Nurmagomedov for a guy that takes pride in his striking. You know, Sandhagen's known as being one of the craftiest strikers in the UFC. That's known as being really high level. For him to get outstruck against Umar, who is still green in the UFC, I mean, we're going to talk about Umar Nurmagomedov's future. It seems like it's a really tough task for this guy to win a title. And the saddest part was Sandhagen, after the fight, Khabib Nurmagomedov got down on his knees, went over to Sandhagen and shook his hand, and then Umar shook his hand when Sandhagen was on the ground, like in disbelief that he had lost. Sandhagen, before the fight, said after he wants to go over to Khabib, shake his hand, go over to Umar, shake their hands, and say, hey, sorry I had to beat you. Maybe you can fight me in a couple of years, win a couple more fights. He wanted to have that moment where he can go up to these guys and be like, hey, great fight. I had to beat you. It was Khabib and Umar that did that to him, man. Ah, man. Sandhagen fucking lost. Sandhagen lost, man. It's like Sandhagen just got beat by a friggin' simple striking techniques. Just fast. Umar's fast. That's one thing that we learned. Umar Nurmagomedov, because the thing is, I knew he was good on the feet. But I was like, all right, he's probably going to be able to outmuscle Sandhagen in moments and take him down, but Sandhagen's going to be able to get up every once in a while, and he'll have the striking advantage. Umar's speed is on a totally another level to Cory Sandhagen. Very fast twitch, very explosive, probably hits sort of hard too. And of course, it's not just like punches, it's also like the front kicks to the face and the lead question mark kicks. Like Umar Nurmagomedov has crazy dexterity with his kicks. So Cory Sandhagen, who's the guy that has the long, rangy striking style, the long, wiry man striking, he's just getting outstruck at every range. Front kicks from Cory Sandhagen, they're too slow for Umar Nurmagomedov's front kicks. The leg kicks from Cory Sandhagen, that was the only thing from Sandhagen that actually looked pretty fast in this fight. But Umar Nurmagomedov, body kicks, right? And also doesn't have to throw those kicks with the same nervous energy as a Sandhagen potentially because there's not at the same threat of the takedown. Another thing that potentially handicapped Sandhagen's mindset on the feet because, of course, you have to worry about the takedown from Umar. But Umar at range, outstriking Sandhagen. In the boxing range, jabbing him up. 3-piece combinations. Sandhagen would throw a flimsy lead hook, and Umar would come back with crazy speed. So an example of where even if Umar doesn't have the takedowns, which again, I don't want to sound like someone that just didn't know Umar's style. I know Umar's style. I know he's a striker. I know that he is originally trained as a striker, but he's grappled more to win his fights in the UFC. And we were expecting a guy like Sandhagen to be able to beat him on the feet, a lot of us. Umar Nurmagomedov, despite not getting the grappling going his way, outstruck Sandhagen, which proves he's an elite striker. We know he's a great grappler. But I'm not going to say that he's not the elite grappler. He's just the elite striker, because I honestly think that Sandhagen's takedown defense was elite. I think that Sandhagen, despite the fact that he didn't bite down on the mouthpiece and throw a lot of output, and he looks a little bit, he was losing confidence as the fight went on. As he started to get punched in the face, he started to lose a little bit of confidence against Umar. And Umar was way faster than him. But you do have to say, dude, Sandhagen's did really well in the grappling. A bunch of Granby rolls, and he was able to get out of bad positions with those Granby rolls every once in a while, but the takedown defense held up for Sandhagen. So Umar's grappling, I do believe, is elite. Sandhagen's takedown defense was shown to be elite. So Sandhagen did, in many ways, show up. It's just like half of his game, it just seemed, was not a match for Umar, right? The part of Sandhagen's game where we thought, okay, we can for sure expect this to at least be good enough to at least have a little bit of a difference in skill, where Sandhagen's a little bit ahead, that's where he failed. That's where Umar won this fight. And I don't know what happens with O'Malley and Merab. It's just, we have no idea how Umar's going to do against O'Malley, how he's going to do against Merab. We have to see those guys fight. If O'Malley KOs Merab, then I'm thinking O'Malley can knock anyone out. Even though Umar's a lot faster than Merab, he's got better takedowns than Merab, and he's a better striker than Merab. I'm just going to say, well, I see O'Malley potentially outstriking Umar. He's a lot faster than Cory. He is one of the longer, wirier strikers that truly is very fast and powerful, where Sandhagen's never been that fast, right? People have always said Sandhagen would have a very close fight with O'Malley. I don't think so at all. I think O'Malley, and I've been saying this, would destroy Sandhagen on the feet. The question is, would Sandhagen take him down, right? Sandhagen's been working on the offensive wrestling, obviously couldn't use it in this fight. But it's too early to tell. If Merab survives the early going of an O'Malley fight, doesn't get knocked out, and dominates O'Malley, at that point, it's just kind of hard to pick against Merab. Yes, on paper, it's tough to pick against Merab, because he can strike and he can wrestle and he's fast and he's strong. But Merab, you can't freaking talk about Merab on paper. He's an extraterrestrial, messing that up, type of fighter. Merab has alien-like cardio. Okay, you can't put him in a box. You can't say, well, Umar's technically a better striker. Well, Jan was a better striker. Well, Umar's technically a better wrestler. Okay, well, Jan was a great wrestler. Umar's got good cardio. Jan had good cardio. I know that they have different styles, right? Umar's he's got a higher output than Jan. He could throw at range, unlike Jan, who's not that great at range, at a far range. But Merab's literally just a freak of nature with his gas tank. So, like, we'll see. But this fight shows us that Umar Nurmagomedov is the real deal. He's going to be in the top 5 for a long time, and he's probably a future champ. O'Malley, even if he beats a guy like Umar Nurmagomedov, even if Merab beats a guy like Umar Nurmagomedov, he's still 28 years old. He's got a lot of time to improve, and if he's schooling Sandhagen a little bit on the feet, he fucking shut him down easily on the feet. If he's doing that at 28, imagine how good this guy's going to be at 31, right? 32. Future champ potential Umar Nurmagomedov has. Who do I want to see him fight next? Listen, if you beat Cory Sandhagen, that's the best win you can get outside of the title picture at this point at bantamweight. I know Figueiredo beat Chito, but like Chito lost to Cory, and Chito just got schooled for a title fight that a lot of people didn't think he was the most deserving for, but either way he filled in because Cory was injured. I think Deiveson Figueiredo should fight Peter Yan in a number 1 contenders fight. And I think Umar should fight for the title next. Although, I wouldn't mind seeing Umar versus Yan in a number 1 contenders fight either. But you don't know what's going to happen. If O'Malley beats Merab, he might just move up a weight class, because it was never really a conversation for him to fight Umar. It was always O'Malley versus Sandhagen is the fight to make. And that's another fight that we lost. Sandhagen versus O'Malley. That was a dream matchup. I still think O'Malley would school him. But either way, we've lost that now. But if O'Malley beats Merab, that would be a Chito win, a Merab win, an Aljamain Sterling win. Technically beat Peter Yan. Then it could be the case where we get a double champ fight. But Umar could be waiting in the wings. So, listen, I wanted Sandhagen to win. I mean, I'm a little bit disappointed because Sandhagen's performance just, I didn't see any urgency. I didn't see him moving forward. I didn't see him imposing his will. And that was the issue, is that Sandhagen, despite doing really well in the takedown defense, and he lived up to the expectations, even surpassed them. My expectations were for Sandhagen to win this fight, in part because I trusted him to level up with his takedown defense. He even surpassed that. It's just that he didn't really impose his will on the feet. Again, a big part of it was Umar was so fast. He was beating him to the punch, making him pay. He had the threat of the takedown. So it's tough for Cory Sandhagen because even though Sandhagen is talked about as being super athletic and all that, like, he's just not that fast and not that explosive. And you can have all the beakers and test tubes, but sometimes you're just getting freaking punched in the face, all right? So, yeah. Tough to see as a Sandhagen fan. Really tough to see as a Sandhagen fan. So, it is what it is. Let's get on to the next fight. And for Sandhagen, who should he fight next? Maybe a rematch with Jan, or you know what? I wish the UFC just waited a little bit so we could have seen Sandhagen versus Aldo. Maybe Sandhagen would have been willing to take a fight against Jose Aldo. But instead they did Aldo versus Batista. Maybe Sandhagen would have been willing to fight a Cejudo. Or what am I saying? Cejudo could have fought Aldo. Maybe Cejudo. Maybe Aldo. There's a bunch of good fights for Sandhagen. One of those two would be good. Maybe even Figueiredo. All right. Either way, let's get on to this one. Shara Magomedov, Michal Alekseychuk. It was a decent fight. Michal Alekseychuk did well. Almost dropped Shara Magomedov in the first round. I don't know if they ruled that as a knockdown, but I swear he punched him and he fell. And Michal Alekseychuk, despite getting outlanded in the first round, was landing big, gnarly shots, big, gnarly right hands to the body, big jabs, big right hands upstairs, clobbering hooks. And Shara Magomedov was on the back foot, lots of kicks, right? On his bike, throwing the lead question mark kicks and the front kicks. And to be honest, that was kind of the story of the fight from there on out. Michal arguably won the third round, got down Shara Magomedov. But listen, I had Shara winning this fight. He definitely won. He looked good with his output. But I think it's clear Shara Magomedov does not have a lot of pop. Okay? If there's something that we're learning about Shara, he doesn't have a lot of pop, and he's not had a dominant showcase. Like, yes, he knocked out his last opponent. Fair enough. And yes, he clearly won his last fight. And yes, he schooled Bruno Silva on the feet. But I think with the UFC putting Shara Magomedov in a big co-main event spot where he's getting a lot of hype from hardcore fans, and he's got the aura because of the look, the one eye, the beard, all that stuff, the Dagestani that strikes, right? He's got a lot of hype and aura. I think people expect a guy like Shara Magomedov, despite the fact that Michal Alekseychuk is good, because some people were saying this guy's a bum. Like, Michal Alekseychuk is not a bum. He's a solid fighter. He's an unranked, solid, dangerous fighter that has tons of power in his hands, and he's super tough. But you see a guy like Michel Pereira fold him up with a couple of front kicks to the body and submit him with ease. Just fold him up with front kicks, landing, damaging shots to the body, and fold him up with ease. That's that former welterweight skill, by the way. Lighter man skill. But either way, you expect a guy, right? Shara Magomedov has amazing kicks. Maybe he's going to be able to fold this guy up with body shots, or maybe he's going to be able to make it a little bit more dominant. He has a very tough fight. It was a great fight. Shara's got an entertaining style. Michal Alekseychuk's got an entertaining style. I really enjoyed watching this. It was a good barn burner in some moments. But I just think I'm a little bit underwhelmed with Shara Magomedov. I don't expect every single prospect to like have an insane dominant performance, but it's kind of almost the standard with a lot of the prospects that the UFC tries to push. Hamzat goes out there and ragdolls people, right? You got Pfeiffer going out there and knocking people out left and right when he's first being pushed. Peyton Talbot getting crazy KOs, knocking people out. O'Malley was having amazing performances, right? Maybe we're just too accustomed to every prospect totally dominating their opponents. Shara can get really good. He can improve. But right now, I don't think this guy is a ranked fighter. I don't think he's good. He could definitely beat a couple people in the rankings, like maybe put Marvin Vettori in front of him. I think Michal Alekseychuk is literally a better striker than Marvin Vettori. Maybe he could beat a Marvin Vettori. I have to look at the middleweight rankings, but Roman Dolidze, maybe he could beat a Roman Dolidze too. There's a couple guys, but overall, I still think Shara has a lot of ways to go. I think that the power kind of holds him back a bit because he's got a lot of output. He's got good volume. He's got good cardio. He's got great technique. It's just that he doesn't have a lot of sting on these shots, and he can land the kitchen sink on his opponent, but they don't seem to be greatly affected. And it just seems like, all right, a guy that has a little bit better shot selection than Michal Alekseychuk, that's as tough, with a really good gas tank. That's the type of guy that could beat Shara. So, thought it was a good fight, but I expected a little bit more of a clean-looking performance. It was a good scrap, but I thought it was going to be more of a dominant showcase from Shara. But, you know, he can always improve a little bit. He's still relatively young, but, yeah, not a lot of pop. Either way, let's get on to the next one. Marlon Vera and Deiveson Figueiredo. I picked Deiveson Figueiredo. And Deiveson Figueiredo, things were getting hairy in the second round and the third. Figueiredo went out there, got a takedown early, and that's what I expected. I said that Deiveson Figueiredo's grappling, his takedown entries are going to be excellent, even though he's going to be a little bit smaller. He's fast. He's going to get Marlon Vera down. He's going to showcase the flyweight grappling skill. He's going to keep him down, and he's going to do all right on the feet. So that's how he won the first round. Did all right on the feet, landed some good strikes, held down Marlon Vera. Second round, though. Marlon Vera, this has been a thing throughout his career, if you've watched him fight. Even if he gets taken down early in fights, his takedown defense gets buffed up to being damn near a brick wall. Like, as the fight progresses, Marlon Vera's takedown defense is looking like it's on another level. It's getting better and better with every fucking takedown, and Figueiredo's shooting them. Like, Figueiredo's shooting more than 5 takedowns per round, and Marlon just starts shucking them off easily and starts walking down Figueiredo, outlanding him. Figueiredo looks to be tired a little bit. He's starting to breathe heavy. Marlon Vera is teeping him the body and jabbing him up, stomping on his knee, just outputting him. And it looks like Marlon Vera's coming on strong. He wins the second round. I'm starting to get worried. So much for the former championship level skill. I'm starting to cope a little bit. They start having a scrap. Figueiredo goes out there with urgency, bites down on the mouthpiece, starts getting a little bit grittier, right? Turns up his volume a bit. Marlon Vera rocks Deiveson Figueiredo. I'm thinking, oh shit, man. Figueiredo's been tired for a few minutes in this fight. Last 5 minutes, he's looked like he's tired. He's breathing heavy. Now Marlon Vera just rocked him with a jab. Could be the beginning of the end, because Marlon can't be finished. Marlon can't be rocked. Marlon's chin is granite. All he has to do is just keep pushing the pace, and he's going to knock Figueiredo out. 5 seconds later, Deiveson Figueiredo drops Marlon Vera with a big booming overhand. First time I've ever seen Marlon Vera get dropped. Extremely unexpected. He came in clutch, and for the rest of the fight, he starts out damaging Marlon Vera, like landing the better shots, going tit for tat. They had a close rest of the round. Marlon Vera arguably landed a tiny bit more output in the third, but the knockdown mixed in with the round being close. Figueiredo wins the fight. First guy to ever drop Marlon Vera. Figueiredo, not the biggest bantamweight, but this dude must hit like a truck. Maybe a part of it has to do with the fact that Marlon Vera got hit with the kitchen sink against O'Malley and took one of the most flush knees I've ever seen in my entire life. He took a lot of damage in that. Maybe that started to soften the chin of Marlon Vera, and that could have aided to Deiveson Figueiredo dropping him. Maybe it's the case of the jar got loosened up, right? But it's still insane that Figgy dropped him, and I'm happy that Figgy won. I'm a fan of Marlon Vera. He fought pretty well. You could tell that he was trying to turn up the heat, because his issue throughout his career in many moments, especially in the O'Malley fight, is that he doesn't really push the pace that often. And he was looking to push the pace. He was looking to push the action. He was looking to finish the fight. But Figgy just dropped him and won the first round, you know? So, good win for Figueiredo. I'm a fan of both of these guys, but I'm happy to see Figueiredo, former champion, who's kind of under the radar, who was never a big star, get a big win here. 3 wins in a row. Because when a guy like Figueiredo loses the belt, you think, he's going to be under the radar, man. No one's going to care about Figueiredo unless you're a hardcore fan. But now, that's the 3rd win in a row for Figgy. He's beaten Cody Garbrandt. He beat Marlon Vera by decision and dropped him. Classic Figueiredo knockdown moment. And, of course, he beat Rob Font. How many times does this guy need to win for a title? I think you put him in a number 1 contenders fight, no matter who it's against. Do I think you give him a title shot? Listen, I think that Sandhagen, if you beat Sandhagen, I think that's a really solid win. It's better than beating Marlon Vera. All right? But beating Marlon Vera earns you nothing less than a number 1 contenders fight. So I want Figueiredo fighting in a number 1 contenders fight. And if he wins, he fights for the belt. I think the fight that makes sense is him versus Jan. Him versus Jan, whoever wins fights for the belt next. That's what I want to see. Either way, do I think he would win that fight? I don't. I mean, this was a sort of competitive fight, and I think that Jan is better, a lot better than Marlon Vera. I think Jan would school Marlon Vera. I do not think Figueiredo is going to win the belt in the future. I do not think he's going to win a number 1 contenders fight, but I am very happy to see him beat ranked opponents at bantamweight, to be on a win streak, and to be getting respect, and to be showing that, you know what, I like the fact that he's proving former championship level skill. I like the fact that despite him being a little bit older, we're looking at him being like, all right, well, this is a former champ. Of course he's going to beat Marlon Vera. Of course he's going to beat Cody Garbrandt, who does not have a resume that can even stand on its own few legs to match Deiveson Figueiredo's. Cody Garbrandt is not that high level. He's had one great high level win. It's good to see a guy that's a former champion prove his elite status against fighters that we would think, all right, aren't on his level, that haven't proved themselves like he has. So the world makes sense when Figueiredo beats Marlon Vera. At least it seems to. But Marlon Vera did well. Marlon Vera did really well in this fight. And I'd like to see him get in there soon. Maybe him versus Cejudo. That could be fun as well. But yeah, Marlon Vera is definitely had a good performance despite losing. You know, pretty good performance. Tony Ferguson versus Michael Chiesa. I can't even say this was that sad. I'm just happy he didn't take a lot of damage. A sad Tony Ferguson loss would be where he gets knocked out or he gets dropped, beat up badly on the feet, takes a lot of damage, and then gets choked out unconscious. Tony tapped. We didn't see him go unconscious. We didn't see the guy's eyes roll back or anything like that. But this is kind of what I expected. I mean, it's kind of crazy how Michael Chiesa got him out of there way faster than Paddy Pimblett, right? But Michael Chiesa, old Michael Chiesa, chokes Tony Ferguson out in the first grappling exchange, just bullies him into a submission. Close striking on the feet. I thought Tony would be able to win the striking on the feet, but of course, I didn't think it would stay on the feet because Michael Chiesa is twice the size of Ferguson, twice the strength. And Ferguson, at this point of his career, he's got like the Alex Morano physique. He's just got no strength, no density whatsoever. And he just got totally shut down and embarrassed in this MMA fight. Tony was given an opportunity to retire by DC, and the fans were on their feet. They were cheering. It looked like we were about to get a big send-off, but you just knew that Ferguson wasn't going to retire. At this point, you got to know Ferguson ain't going nowhere, all right? People were like, man, he's going to retire. I was like, no, he's not. He took a long pause. Tony Ferguson had a moment of silence for like 30 seconds where DC was trying to get him to retire because you know Dana White said that after this, that's basically it for Ferguson. Again, why did they give Michael Chiesa, of all people, for a retirement fight? But Tony Ferguson wasn't saying anything because he was like, dude, I ain't going nowhere. That's what Tony was saying in his head. He was kind of being put on the spot to retire. He didn't do it. He put one glove down and said, well, we'll see. I'll talk to my team. I'll talk to my family. I think they probably had a conversation with Tony a million times about retirement, and like I don't think that's going to help, but he doesn't want to fight for any other promotion than the UFC. So if the UFC doesn't allow Tony to fight, he's not fighting anywhere else. But you never know. He could just be saying that, and he could fight at BKFC. Who knows? I want Tony to retire. It makes sense, but I'm just happy that he took no damage. Okay? I don't want to see Tony take a damage at this point in his career, but it's the 8th loss in a row. Are we really that sad? Like, we've seen this dude lose 7 times prior to this. Are we really that sad? If it's about, I just don't like seeing Tony get beat up and get easily, like, he's not the same guy. I don't really count this towards his resume. This hardly counts. Tony is completely washed. But yeah, I was surprised we didn't see a David Goggins in his corner, or a Tate, or a Jocko Willink. I think it was just the wrestling dads, the Bo Nickel wrestling dads that were in Tony Ferguson's corner. There was only one person in his corner, which was a little bit weird. But either way, I was happy to see Tony Ferguson show face. But Michael Chiesa just totally ran through him. And I would have rathered have it been someone else. But at the end of the day, Tony and Nick were never going to fight. The Diaz bros have something where they don't want to fight common opponents. So we were never going to see that. But even if you would give Tony Ferguson a really washed up old vet, even more old than Michael Chiesa, even more washed, he still probably loses. I don't think Tony beats a single UFC fighter. All right, maybe he beats some flyweights, but like, you know what I mean? Not a single welterweight, not a single lightweight at this point. He's just got nothing. No strength, no athleticism, no speed. But yeah, either way, good win for Michael Chiesa. He was celebrating like he won the World Cup, but, you know, nothing wrong with celebrating. He got a big win. First round submission. He's allowed to be happy. So, good win for Michael Chiesa, but it's Tony Ferguson. Dern versus Lupi Gudinez. People were saying this was robbery. To be honest, it looked like Lupi Gudinez may have won this 2-1, but it is what it is, man. Let's talk about this. Joel Alvarez versus Elvis Brenner. This was a sick performance. It was a little bit slow in the middle of the fight, but the first round, the third round were great. The difference here was the range and the speed and the shot selection. I mean, I thought Elvis Brenner was going to be able to make this scrappy and he was going to be able to close the distance and hurt Joel Alvarez and put him away. But Joel Alvarez was very fast, was stinging Elvis Brenner when he was coming in. And whenever Elvis Brenner would go to shoot a takedown, Joel Alvarez would easily get out of those positions because he's got great grappling too. And then in the third round, we saw him put away Elvis Brenner. He was mixing it up really well to the body, with knees, with body kicks, with jabs to the body, uppercuts. Like, Joel Alvarez was on point with his shot selection in multiple moments of this fight where it just looked like he was way too high a level for Elvis Brenner in some of these striking exchanges. So Joel Alvarez has leveled up. He leveled up. He looked really good in this fight. Made it look cleaner than Odolbai, and did a lot better than Guram Kutateladze. I mean, Joel Alvarez brought his game to a new level. I'd like to see him fight more because this guy, the last time he fought was last July, a year ago. And before then, he fought in February of 2022, so like a year and a half before that. He hardly fights. He didn't take a lot of damage in this. I want to see Joel Alvarez fight again and fight soon, because I think this guy can make a run at the rankings. I think that he could beat a lot of ranked fighters. He's got great grappling. He's got a nasty submission game. We know that. But his striking is the thing that is looking improved. And his boxing is good, but also the knees in the clinch, the head kicks. He's looking like a very well-rounded fighter. So I want to see Joel Alvarez fight maybe a Jalen Turner next. That could be a really good one. Someone said battle of the weight bullies, but yeah, that could be a good one. I don't actually think they're weight bullies. Azamat Murzakhanov versus Alonzo Menifield, the density maxer. Azamat Murzakhanov is basically the embodiment of one of the overweight heavyweights that ends up getting in serious shape, taking their career serious, and actually like trying to be the best on the fucking planet. That's Azamat Murzakhanov, right? He's like Shamil Gaziev if he lost weight. Azamat Murzakhanov, too dense, too fast, knocks out Alonzo Menifield. This dude is insane, right? He's not that young. He's like 35. But you know what? Alex Pereira was 35 when he fought for the title the first time against Adesanya. He's got time. And the light heavyweight division is not that stacked. A couple wins for him from here on out. He could be fighting for a belt. Entertaining style, extremely explosive on the feet, insanely fast. And we know Alonzo Menifield's powerful. We know he's strong. But again, power, it's just not on the same level of density. So Azamat Murzakhanov, it's kind of shocking to see kind of this fat, old looking Abu Bakr guy, like an Abu Bakr lookalike, go out there and just float around in the octagon with light on his feet, even lighter on his feet than Sandhagen, faster than Sandhagen, at light heavyweight, looking like a 50-year-old man, but having insane speed, insane explosive ability, good power, and he's not just fucking running around on the outside. This guy's in the pocket, slugging and dipping off. Bobbing and weaving and getting out of the way of shots and countering right away. He's got a really fun style to watch where he's biting down on the mouthpiece and just showing people up with just pure speed. We talked about Joel Alvarez being inactive. Azamat doesn't fight that often. We need him to fight more often because if this guy fights often, he can become a bit of a fan favorite. You know what he kind of reminds me of? He kind of reminds me of Gene Silva, right? Different characters. Gene Silva's a madman. He's crazy. Azamat Murzakhanov is definitely not crazy, but the way that they fight, it's kind of similar in a way. If you know what I'm saying, they're a little bit similar with the way that they're throwing punches, their defense, the way that they can slip out of the way of punches very quickly and counter quickly. But yeah, Azamat wins. One of the densest fighters in the UFC. Again, I say he kind of looks fat or whatever, but insanely dense. So let's get on to the next one. Muhammad Yahya versus Quay Fernandez. I, like a fool, picked Muhammad Yahya. Okay, I know that Quay Fernandez was a huge favorite. I know that. I knew that after the fact, but yeah, Muhammad Yahya got absolutely blitzkrieged and destroyed, rolled up into a Bazooka Joe joint and smoked in the first round. Looking forward to Quay Fernandez's next fight. He was emoting on him. Not a whole lot to take away other than that. It's his UFC debut, but Muhammad Yahya just looked skittish and a little bit scared. Here we go. Shamil Gaziev versus Don'Tale Mayes. I'm not even going to do the accent, but Shamil Gaziev won this fight, 30-27, dominant performance, right? There were moments in this fight where it looked like Shamil wasn't fighting to win. He was fighting to breathe. And what I mean by that is, I kid you not, in the second round, he's like just pure with pure weight, just pushing Don'Tale Mayes into the cage, smudging him into the cage. And he would throw like a clinch knee and he would let out a grunt. And you could see that he would literally take like 20 seconds of rest in between them. And then he would throw another knee. And it looked like Shamil Gaziev was literally reloading techniques, like reloading punches and kicks. But he needed 20 seconds of a breather in between.
Dude, Shamil's taking like 20-second breathers in between every single... Like, he's not allowing himself to throw any strikes until he takes a 20-second breather in between. Wait. He needs 5 more seconds before he throws a knee. There it is again.
But Don'Tale Mayes, on the other hand, was just fucking... There's nothing he could do. Don'Tale Mayes was gassed as well. So this was like the most typical gassed out heavyweight unathletic fight where Shamil Gaziev was too big. And he just, freaking, I wouldn't even say muscled him. He weighted him to the ground multiple times. Got a takedown in the first round. I was going hype. I was getting hype. Second round, he was landing the clinch knees, reloading, landing the clinch knees, reloading. And then in the third round, Shamil Gaziev, Gaziev's got a granite chin. Gaziev was taking some big punches where Don'Tale Mayes was slinging leather and Gaziev would just eat it. He was mouth breathing as well. It wasn't even biting down on the mouthpiece, Gaziev. Like, Gaziev's eating these punches while mouth breathing, and he would still just freaking topple over Don'Tale Mayes and get him to the ground. I'm very happy to see Gaziev win, but let's be honest, it looked like most of the UFC roster probably beats these guys in a fight. All right, I don't know if you want to go all the way down to the flyweight division, but I'm telling you right now, if you get like a decent featherweight, a decent lightweight, and you put him up against Shamil Gaziev or Don'Tale Mayes, and they just survived the first round, and they just leg kick on the outside for the second and third, I think these people win. Like, Shamil Gaziev and Don'Tale Mayes, after 5 minutes, have nothing in their gas tank. I can't even say if it was improved. I mean, he was just kind of falling over Don'Tale Mayes, and you happened to land on top of him, but it was a good fight. But I thought Shamil was going to go out there and bomb on Don'Tale Mayes and like beat him up the same way he did to Martin Buday. Shamil still won 30-27. You cannot say it was a bad win. It was an amazing performance. It was a high-level performance. But all jokes aside, Shamil Gaziev, still one of my favorite fighters. And I think this is one-off. Shamil usually has more fun fights. I think that in the future we can expect him to slug on the feet a little bit more. The thing is, Shamil expends so much energy trying to get the takedown. If he doesn't even go for the takedown, yeah, Don'Tale Mayes is dangerous on the feet, but Shamil Gaziev's not getting KO'd by anyone. So Shamil Gaziev could literally just stand with him and just fucking slug. And I don't think I'm picking anyone in a slug competition over Shamil Gaziev until we get up to the Tom Aspinalls. I want Shamil Gaziev versus Mick Parkin. Mick Parkin is actually higher level. I think that the grappling cancels out. Maybe Gaziev gets taken down, and if he gets taken down, it's like, he ain't getting up. But I want to see Mick Parkin and Shamil, because I think Shamil is going to fucking give Mick Parkin a taste of his own medicine. Mick Parkin's the guy that usually is a slight bit above his opponents on the feet, but I think Shamil Gaziev, if he can't get the takedown, which he might not be able to, he's going to start bombing away like he did to Martin Buday, and I think I want to see Shamil Gaziev just blitzkrieg someone. So, Gaziev, this was a classic heavyweight Shamil Gaziev style of fight. Really entertaining to watch, but not the highest level. Let's get on to the next one. Guram Kutateladze. Wow. This was an amazing debut. Jordan Vucenic drops Guram early, outstrikes him in the first round, and holds Guram down. So has like a pitch-perfect first round. If he scored that first round at 10-8, it should be a draw. They didn't score it at 10-8. It was a dominant 10-9. Guram was losing this fight. He was getting dropped. He was getting outstruck. He was getting taken down. In the second half of the second round, Jordan Vucenic took this on short notice, I believe. So I'm not surprised that there could have been a bad gas tank situation there because he didn't have a full training camp for this. But Guram started coming on strong. He got Jordan Vucenic down at one point and started elbowing him. Guram Kutateladze has really good ground and pound. The striking was close. had the grappling moment. He won that. And then in the third round, he started coming on strong, imposing his will, got the takedown, got the back, and had like 3 minutes of control time on the back of Jordan Vucenic. And this is the thing. Guram, midway through the fight, started imposing his will. Jordan Vucenic, I think, could have won this fight on a full training camp, honestly, but it's a different opponent for who Guram was initially training for. And I was just happy to see Guram impose his will, because the issue with Guram has been he goes out there and he throws a bunch of flashy techniques. He'll shoot a flashy takedown, but he'll have nothing on it, no real commitment, just to shoot it. Flying knees. He was throwing these in the beginning of the fights, too. In the beginning of this fight, he was throwing flying knees, spinning kicks, and it was frustrating to watch. As soon as Guram started moving forward with a plan to get the takedown, as soon as Guram started moving forward with a plan to, hit Jordan Vucenic to the body with uppercuts, with that classic Guram uppercut, dig into the body, that liver shot to the body that Guram always throws, that's when he started to win. Guram has perfect technique. He has great ability to control people. He has great wrestling, good takedown defense. His boxing is not ideal. His body shots are great. His boxing, when he's throwing shots to the head, isn't perfect, but he's got amazing technique. He started imposing his will. That was the thing. He started going for the takedown, going for the control time, and that's what won him the fight. He got away from the whole, let me just throw shit out there. And I was happy to see Guram win. I wanted to see Guram win. Jordan Vucenic, though, he's really good. Better than I thought. That knockdown in the first round was gnarly. He looks pretty fast, better than I thought on the feet, and we know he's got a good ground game, too. And I do not think this is the best version of him. So he's got a bright future in this division. Looking forward to his next fight. But Guram Kutateladze, I'm happy to see him get the win. I said that in the past he was overhyped, but I like seeing Guram get the win. All right. I'm still a fan of Guram. All right. Victoria Dudikova versus Sam Hughes happened. And that was, wow, Sam Hughes actually won. I picked Victoria, so I got that one wrong too. Let's get on to Jai Herbert versus Rolando Bedoya, though. Jai Herbert actually had a sick fight. All right. This is the second best, if not the best, Jai Herbert fight I've ever seen. I've only seen a couple good ones. Jai Herbert actually had a war, right? Outside of the Ilia Topuria matchup, we usually see Jai Herbert get into little pitter-pat shots fests where he's throwing pitter-pat shots at range with no sting on them. He's got like twig punches where there's no power on them. Rolando Bedoya, credit to him and his shoot box style. He was moving forward, pressing the action, putting his chin on the firing line, willing to take risks, and he forced Jai Herbert to trade. And Jai Herbert fought really well. And his jab looked good. His front kicks looked good. He was, gritting down. Both of these guys were trading. This, in my opinion, was the best fight of the night. 100%, this was the best fight of the night. I thought it was better than Magomedov versus Michal. Sick fight. Rolando Bedoya, it's tough to move down from welterweight to fight these faster guys. And of course, Jai Herbert had the reach advantage, the range advantage, and also used to fighting in the lightweight division. So he's got the lighter man speed, lighter man skill. It's going to take Rolando Bedoya a while to adjust. Rolando looked like a completely different guy when he got into the octagon. He lost a lot of fat. Looks completely different. And I think he should stay in this weight class, but he's got to adjust to lightweight and the speed of some of these guys because Jai Herbert was looking super fast. He made Jai Herbert look entertaining, but again, that's because Rolando was pressing the action, but it was an amazing fight. I believe Jai Herbert even knocked Rolando down. I think he knocked him down at one point in the first round, but just a war. High output. Both guys were landing clean shots. Really fun fight to watch. I'm happy that Jai Herbert got it done. Probably the most entertaining performance he's had in his entire career. And last but not least, I believe in Tiuliulin. I believe in Tiuliulin is what we were chanting when I first hopped on the live stream when I realized that Tiuliulin was losing and I was coping and I was trying to will him to victory. Denis Tiuliulin, I thought he was going to win this fight. I know his grappling has never been that good, but Sedrique Dumas out-grappled him in the first round. I was like, all right, Tiuliulin, he got out-grappled, but he survived, and he did all right. He was able to get up to his feet. Now he'll start winning because he's going to press the action. He's a crafty, gritty striker. Sedrique Dumas just pieces him up. Too fast for him. Jabbing him up at range. Giving him the sweet pea special. And Denis Tiuliulin just too slow for Sedrique Dumas, who looked to improve his striking, but also Tiuliulin just looked slow as a tortoise in this fight. So Sedrique Dumas won. We could not chant our way to will Denis Tiuliulin's victory, but it is what it is. Overall, it was a good card. I think I went 7-5, maybe 7-6. Not that good, guys. We didn't do so well on this card, but it is what it is. I enjoyed it. I always like these Abu Dhabi cards. They're in the daytime, so we're not like completely destroyed at night after sitting through a 7-hour card, right? We have energy. Unless you're pissed with the outcome of the main event, that can make the difference on how the rest of the day goes, because I remember when Charles lost, the rest of my day was terrible when Charles lost to Islam. But I'm upset that Sandhagen lost, but Umar Nurmagomedov, you gotta say, you got a great performance. So, good performance, good card overall. Not the best card, but a lot of good fights, a lot of important fights, relevant fights. Hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time.